Yes, I chose the one and only legendary vampire Alucard as my inspiration for this look. But as you probably guessed, there is quite a bit of prep work involved before we can get to the makeup, so let's jump in. To make the face prosthetic, I started by laying down some medium hardness Chavant clay onto my face cast, and using sculpting tools, I carved out the mouth area and built up the lips. I made clay teeth as placeholders to figure out the gums, but these will not be the final ones used. For the eyes, I figured out where I wanted them to sit, and then each one was just the process of carving out the clay, smoothing down the area, adding a pupil with 2 balls of clay, and then making eyelids by adding clay worms around each eye. Do that about 20 more times, add some weird veining to the blend lines, and you are ready to mold. I covered my sculpt in crystal clear spray to act as a release, and then made clay walls for the mold. I made my mold out of ultra-cal cement. Silicone would definitely be better for the eye details, but this is a cheaper option. I mixed a thin batch for my detail coat and used a chip brush to push the cement into all the small areas. After 2 coats of that, I also added burlap to help strengthen the mold and smoothed everything out while it was drying. I try to get a flat surface on the tops of my mold so that they can sit upside down if needed. And you can also sand the mold a bit when the cement is almost dry, but not quite. After full drying and I had opened the mold, I spent a day and a half cleaning it out, as all the eyes made it very delicate, and despite my best efforts, a lot of the eyes still took some damage. To cast the prosthetic, I first did a detail coat of molding latex to help pick up any textures and details of the mold. And once dry, I used expanding flex foam to fill the rest of the mold. You get about a minute working time with this stuff before it starts fully expanding. So have everything ready and be sure to fully close your mold while it expands. I personally just chose to sit on the mold until it was done expanding. I carefully pulled the prosthetic from the mold when it was ready, being mindful of the deep and undercut areas. Not a perfect pull to be sure, but we can make it work with a good paint job. For painting, I used a lot of the NYX lipsticks as they're creamy enough to blend over the latex and have strong staying power. For the white, I did mix some acrylic with Prosade to make my own PAX paint, just to make sure the white would be really opaque. For the darkest areas of the mouth, I also incorporated the NYX Gel Mousse Liner in black. The teeth for the prosthetic were quickly made by rolling out Model Magic clay in tons of different sizes and letting them dry. Then, using the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Black Bean and the gel liner, I filled in all the area around the eyes. I used a bit more of the PAX mixture and the gray lippy to color the gums. And then to add some more of that anime dimension to the eyes, I added highlights with white. I helped the eyes stand out by adding gray all around the edges, and then quickly colored the gums with the pink lippy. For the teeth, I originally attached them with Prosade to figure out placement, but then fully secured them with hot glue. Last thing I did was add a bit of yellow to the teeth so they wouldn't be quite a flat white. For the chest piece, it's a lot of the same steps, but for this you can just sculpt on a flat surface instead of a life cast, as long as it's not too large. I added veins extending outwards by laying down clay worms and blending them into the board. You can clean up the sculpt a bit with 99% alcohol to slightly dissolve the clay and brush away any excess. Molding for this one is much easier than the face. I just made some walls with cardboard and hot glue, making sure to fill in any areas there could be holes or gaps. After that, I again did my detail coats with cement and a chip brush, making sure to shake the mold a bit to get rid of any trapped air pockets. I then added a few more layers as it dried and the burlap again to help strengthen. Cleaning this mold was also much easier, and for filling it, I used entirely latex. First by pushing in details with a chip brush and sponge, and then filling in the rest and scraping off the excess. Because this mold is shallow, it can fully dry like this, but in a deep mold, you would have to do it in layers so as to not trap uncured latex. To free our cast, I used the NYX HD powder to powder both sides and lift it free. To not sound too redundant, the painting process is much the same as the face, using gel liner, some white acrylic, and lipsticks to help bring the eye to life. For the hat, I have no millinery skills, and I just hot glued fabric to a straw hat and added strips of muslin cloth to it. Yay! We are finally at the tutorial! And oh my gosh, I am so thankful you guys helped me get here. I started with the chest piece since vision will be severely lacking once the face prosthetic is on. I used prosthetic adhesive to attach the piece. This starts off white, and when it goes clear, you know you can apply. I made sure to help glue down any veins that didn't have enough adhesives, and then used prosthetic cream to better blend the areas in between them. I used the NYX HD setting powder to go over the edges, as well as use my finger to find any areas of skin that were still tacky from the glue and powdered them as well. With the white liquid liner, I mapped out where I wanted the shoulder markings to go. In this, I referenced the coat-like design he has in one of his released demon states that appears to be pulled back by numerous buttons. For building the highlighted areas of these folds, I used the gray and white lippies and blended them with a brush and my fingers. The buttons were colored in that same gray, and then I used a black face paint and a detail brush to outline the folded areas so they wouldn't get lost in the black that follows. To go around the eye itself, I wanted that crazy bright red that almost looks like it's glowing. So I went in with the NYX red lipstick and used a brush to detail all along the sides of the veins and the seam lines. I went over that with the Primal Hot Red eyeshadow to help set the cream as well as make blending outwards easier, because following that I used the black shadow to shade the folded areas in the coat and transition into the red in the center. All area that is left over I covered in black body paint just to quickly get that opaque and stop that black just under my chin. I also added a few highlights to the buttons with white just to add a little bit more dimension. With that, I would say you are good to move on to the face. Before I forgot, I created a bit of a protective barrier of hairspray along the side of my face that would have the prosthetic, just in case any adhesive got onto it. From there, I used the foundation stick in 02 to build some flawless vampire skin on the right side of my face, and of course added a bit of the white pro mix to pale the complexion even more. The eye I kept pretty simple, really just going for a dramatic red and black look to best represent Alucard. I used a red shadow stick first, followed by the primal red shadow, and then a black liquid liner to create an angular eye shape. I used the black shadow to fill in my one brow, since that would be the color of my wig. And then for under my eye, I used the black pen liner to create a strong shape, as well as add some extra markings, because I love the excessive line work they do around his eye to make him look crazy in the series. I did some real simple contouring on this side of my face to help with dimension, and then used the cream highlight color to further pale my face and make my skin look a bit smoother than it actually is. For the lips, I used the liquid suede cream lipstick in Stone Fox and the black macaron lippy over top. I again did some lash stacking and applied false lashes to my upper and lower lashes, along with adding in a red contact lens. You can kind of tell, but I did seal down my eyebrow with Prosade cream and powder to protect it a bit. And then it was just the same story as the chest piece, using skin adhesive to attach the prosthetic, being sure to avoid the eye area on the piece itself from getting glue on it. To complete the blend, I added some face paint along the veining and then used the mousse eyeliner and black shadows to complete the lines spreading outward. You may have to use a mirror up close, as the lack of depth perception was definitely tricky to work with. Finally, be sure to add on a wig and give yourself a vampire manicure. I filed down some false nails and glued them on at the end. I had ordered a long red trench coat, but even with paying for rush shipping, it did not get here on time, so I stole my mom's. Thanks, Mom. Add that stylish red hat and Hellhound Alucard is complete. This is my entry for the second round of the NYX Face Awards in the Anime Challenge. This video is entirely thanks to you guys. It is your votes that got me into the top 20, and I cannot thank you enough. If you want to help me get into the top 12, if you think I've earned your votes, then please help me out by going to the NYX Face Awards website and voting for NsomniaksDream. You can vote 3 times a day, per person, per email address for the next week of June 17th to 24th. I will have all the information down below and on all my other social media. I cannot express how valuable your votes are and how grateful I am for every single one of them. There could not have been a more exciting challenge announced this round, but it has made me even more pumped to see what lies ahead, and I hope we can get there. Thank you so much, Team Dream, and I will see you next video.